Thank you so much, Sam. Thanks to all of you from coming from all over the world. Betsy, thank you for helping to make this possible. And Marcelo, thank you for having us in your home, as always. It's not even 9:20 in the morning, and we've already been inspired by Aristotle, Pope Francis, Bishop Marcelo Sanchez-Sorondo, Betsy Parker. It's a pretty good start of the day, you have to admit. And you've been told, again, now it is exactly 9:20, I think, you've been told that you are the protagonists of a global effort. And that's true. That's really why we're together. You've even been given the basic instructions: ethics, virtue, fraternity. And this is a wonderful, wonderful call to us. Many of you have come back here. Again, you've been here before. Some of others of you are new to this wondrous place. Of course, it's an incredible privilege to be at the Vatican, and especially in the Casina Pio Quattro. This is a unique place in the world where you're sitting. I would refer all of you to the inscription up above in Latin on the right upper wall to give you a sense of the uniqueness and the magnificence of this place. What it says when you brush off your Latin is that the Pontifical Academy of Science originated in the Academy of the Lynxes in 1603. This was already a gathering more than 400 years ago of leading thinkers who came together, mathematicians, scientists, maybe one of the fathers or the father of modern science, Galileo Galilei, to understand the universe and in the context of a moral order. And the Pontifical Academy of Sciences is a unique place in the world that calls on us for our knowledge as well as our ethics. And that's extraordinary. There are almost no other places in the world that I know of. I don't know of any like this that are of this core nature that says we must know the natural order, the science, the technical issues, but all of that is embedded in a moral order as well. And that's really our job and your responsibility. So you're here with a heavy burden also, not only a celebration of what you're doing and a chance to tell others and a chance to link together, but also with a big responsibility. Because it's not easy to have a group like this together. And our world's not an easy place right now, as you may have noticed. On the one side, there are so many wonderful things to do, and we're all together. Even when we're not physically together, we can all be together on email and virtually and connected. But at the same time, the world is perhaps in a more dangerous juncture than it has been almost at any time in the last many decades. We're at a perilous moment as well. And partly we have a very unstable president of the United States who is a danger to the world. And we need to reflect on that. We also have many dangers between countries, and we have many populist pressures and many pressures of division. And when Bishop Marcello has just told us about fraternity, we have a process of division underway that is at least as powerful right now, where the emphasis on the other as the enemy is part of the politics all over the world. Look at the Rohingya being killed and massacred, and to try to get them to flee Myanmar. The hatred in the United States that Donald Trump is promoting, unfortunately, racism and overt calls to division. And this is happening around the world right now. Our chance is not just to attack that, because attack only leads to escalation. Our chance is to show the possibility of something much brighter, and it's to lead in an affirmative way, and that's what Pope Francis is doing, and what Laudato Si helps to guide us, because that is a wondrous document, which is an inspiration for the whole world, that not only talks about the problems, but talks about the way to a common plan for our common home, and that was a fundamental inspiration for the whole world's governments to adopt the Sustainable Development Goals. It happened that on September 25th, 2015, when those goals were adopted, the UN General Assembly was opened by Pope Francis. He spoke to the world leaders. He said, we need a common moral framework. And at the end of the speech, by acclamation, they adopted the Sustainable Development Goals. To my mind, that means that they were born in the spirit of global morality, global ethics, global solidarity. And that is the positive direction that we have as our challenge. Now, it's often said, young people are the hope of the world, okay? I want to say that not as a cliche, but as a homework assignment. This is one of my last prerogatives as a professor, is that I can give homework. All right, so it's really homework. There's nothing easy about the situation in the world. It's really complicated. We're 7.5 billion, 7.6 billion people now, and deeply divided, distracted governments, worse than distraction, leaders like Trump, who are narcissists, who are not thinking about the global need, but are lost in their own delusions. And yet we have some really important things to do. We have to head off some very big dangers. Climate change perhaps being the most urgent of all the environmental crises. You think about California, Napa Valley, one of the richest places in the whole world. Dozens of people being killed right now. People who live at the highest levels of wealth and income. Nature is so powerful, as Pope Francis told us, it will come back to bite. Doesn't matter who you are. You can own your vineyards. You're vulnerable to the neglect that the world has taken. So we have these massive forest fires underway after huge drought in California. We've just had 5 huge hurricanes in the Atlantic, the most hurricanes in any season for decades. Devastation of the Caribbean islands, massive flooding in Vietnam, heat waves, massive forest fires in Europe. what does it take for us to understand how dangerous it is when it's before your eyes? And by the way, to show that it's tricky, if you write about this, then you get attacked by all the denialists. So I can show you my Twitter feed I woke up to a couple hate mails early today. There's a tremendous amount of denial. There's a tremendous amount of simply inertia. There are very rich people whose wealth depends on hurting others, like the oil industry, like the Koch brothers, who fund and basically own the Republican Party in the United States right now, unfortunately. And so this is a big, big battle. What do we have as our hope? I believe that we have the common need and aspirations of the world, and the lucky fact that, though it's rare, that common need has been expressed explicitly in two important ways in recent years. One is the Agenda 2030 with the Sustainable Development Goals, and the second is the Paris Climate Agreement, which is part of the same global unanimity of purpose of sustainable development. So that is really our work for the next 2 days and your homework assignment for the next 13 years. Achieve the Paris Climate Agreement and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. That's not an easy assignment, but it's open book. You can work in groups. You can use any sources you want. But we really need to do this. And it's literally the case. It's not an old guy pandering to young people. You really got to do this. And we've really got to help, and we've really got to work together. And so you need to be creative. You need to be bold, not reckless. Aristotle always had it right, which is that virtue is in the middle. It's not to be a coward. It's not to be a reckless braggart, but it's to be wise and through the middle. Courageous, but knowing what you're doing. Well-tempered, determined, knowing where you can do things, knowing where you need help, and figuring out how we can really make a big difference. So I want our meeting to be about the following. You'll be presenting projects. You'll be learning from each other about what you're doing. You'll be meeting people from across the world, so you'll be forming a network as well. But what I would like to come out of this is not only a wonderful and inspiring weekend, not only a group of new friends, not only some new ideas, not only new enthusiasm, but a movement for the Sustainable Development Goals that can take off and that can change your cities, your provinces, your countries, so that we can make these aspirations real. That's very hard, but that's the bar that we should be setting. We don't really have time to lose. 13 years, it's so short, it's unbelievable. And to accomplish things takes time. And so we're late. We're really late. But it's still feasible. And so we have to really hurry. Let me end by giving you one example. In the US last week, together with some colleagues, I launched something with my colleagues called America's Goals. The idea is to take these Sustainable Development Goals into the political context in the United States, not in a partisan way, but in a directly political way, to have candidates running for office say, we're for that, that is our agenda, that is our platform, that's what we're going to defend, that's what we're going to pursue if we come to office. The idea is that this is about politics also. This is about politics in Aristotle's sense of action for the common good. But it has to therefore enter the politics. In your cities, are your mayors pursuing the Sustainable Development Goals? Do they know what they are? Is it part of the city's agenda? In the universities that are nearby you, are the university presidents and faculty championing the Sustainable Development Goals? Are they teaching them? Are they holding symposiums? Are they opening the doors to the community to say, come in and learn about this? At the national level, do you ever hear about the Sustainable Development Goals? In the United States, President Trump will never use the words, at least not consecutively, or at least not intentionally. It's feasible that it shows up on a teleprompter once, but I doubt it. So we have a big, big challenge. And that's where I want your creativity and responsibility. How can you do this? What do you need to do it? What would be helpful? All of you need to become expert on these issues. That's not easy. In fact, one of the most painful parts is you have to listen to me. You have to go online and take a free course on the age of sustainable development so that you can go through each of the goals, what they mean, how it works. It's there really, I mean, it's obviously not there for my vanity, it's there for your help to make sure that you can understand why do we have 17 goals? Are they feasible? What do they mean? What is SDG 7 really about? What is SDG 13 really about? What is SDG 16 really about? Because this requires this purpose of 1603. This is the scientific side. You have to understand that. You have to be able to sit down and explain human-induced climate change, or loss of biodiversity, or the public health challenges, or what universal health coverage means. Way outside things you may be working on. But all of you are leaders of sustainable development. Going out of here, you will all be global ambassadors of the Sustainable Development Goals. You will be promoters of this common agenda. You will be recruiting dozens or hundreds, thousands of others to sign on. So please ready yourselves for leadership. And our purpose in the next couple of days is to leave here with a movement in which you will be the protagonists, as Bishop Marcello has said. Thank you.